Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to, I'm Trustee Valeria Stubbs, Chairperson for the Departmental Operations Committee, and I would like to call this meeting to order. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can remain standing, Elder Creighton, sir, if you don't mind, can you lead us off into prayer? Thank you.
Eternal God, our Father, we thank you just for the opportunity to see another day.
Thank you.
Thank you, O God, that things are as well as they are. And we lean and depend on you, God, to keep us day by day. Now, Father, as we embark upon this meeting, we ask, O God, that you would bless the mayor, trustees, all that are involved in handling the business of this city. Now, God, we ask that this would be done in peace, that we might increase our love one to another, and we be careful to give your name all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory, for you continue to do all things well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Ms. Fields, if you can call the roll.
Trustee Pierson,
Here.
Trustee Stubbs,
Here.
Trustee Muhammad.
Here.
All committee members are present. I thought we was taking this.
Just like that. She puts that on there, but
No.
just go straight to the business.
So we want to go straight to new business. And we want to discuss the water department and a proposed hiring of additional water meter readers. So this meeting is open for discussion.
Can I be recognized, Chair?
Yes.
I see since the mayor is here and we asked him to make this meeting, if you could, Mayor, please give us a presentation based upon this information that was forwarded to us from the payment center on what you propose for the water department and collections. Well, the mayor was asked to come to do his presentation. Did you hear me, Mayor? Yes, if you could just come forward and just, we said we were going to go into detail of your proposal of hiring 7, the cost, and everything that's connected with it, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. At our last board meeting, I had made some suggestions in regards to getting up to date on our collections in the water department and also up to date with accurate readings for all the residents and commercial. So I suggested that we hire at least 7 additional meter readers. Actually trying to reach out to someone that had experience, whether they were retired from other departments, maybe Night Corps, Commonwealth Edison, or some other agency first before we bring anyone in and hire to where we would have to train them. So I asked Brian Marciniak here to put together a somewhat of a ledger in regards to what it would cost us, and also, and I don't see it on here, what it would cost us, but where it would actually bring us in regards to the collection of the outstanding water bills that are existing right now. So there's a hiring freeze on, but I think it's important that we, since we've had several complaints, many complaints in regards to our water department and collections, what's outstanding, what's accurate, And I think it's important that we bring some credence to at least trying to remedy that situation. So, at an annual salary for one meter reader is $10 an hour, and for the year it would be $20,000. But I'm suggesting that we hire for at least a 6-month period, temporary period, to get those readings accurate. We're coming into the winter time now. We've only got 3 existing meter readers, so I'm suggesting that we do the hiring immediately to try to get accurate billing out, and then also go to monthly water billing, which would be a little bit more manageable for the residents, and also we would get our revenues in at a faster rate. Our water bills now are going out every 3 months, or should go out every 3 months. We've had some delays in those bills going out. So, for example, if you have a $300 water bill for a 3-month period, by the time you get your next water bill, if you have not paid your previous one, you're at $600. And that, in some cases, is unmanageable for some of the residents to pay. So, but if you got a $100 water bill and you get a bill on a monthly basis and you don't happen to pay the first water bill, then you're looking at $200 you have to pay rather than $600. And it would be quicker for us, the village, to collect those revenues if it was on a monthly and timelier basis. So in order to catch up, I'm suggesting that we hire these water meter readers for at least a temporary period of maybe about 6 months to get us through the winter, and to actually kind of catch up and help these guys here that are doing the readings right now. A lot of the water bills have been estimated, and when the meter readers finally get a chance to read those meters, in some cases, those bills are higher than what they've been estimated at. And then we get a lot of complaints, and but those are actual readings. So it's important that we have actual readings. And in some cases, practically on an everyday basis, and correct me if I'm wrong, the water meter readers have to go out and do appointments. And those appointments are from people that are not at home, and they call and they want their meters read. So before they start their day in actually reading meters, they have to go out to these appointments, and while the people are at home, and read those meters, which in fact some cases people have to take off of work, they miss work to be there for those appointments. So I'm suggesting that those appointments are done on a Saturday. It may cost a little money for us to do them on a Saturday, but at least people don't have to go to work, and those meter readers can get out first thing in the morning and start reading meters instead of doing appointments on those days. So if we look at an annual salary for 7 meter readers at $10 an hour, we're looking at about $145,000 if we chose to do it on an annual basis. But half of that, you're looking at $70,000, $72,000, I would think it would be. Now, what do we have exactly outstanding right now for the past 2 quarters? I know water bills went out last week. What's the outstanding amount right now? Do you know, Brian? We average a billing of every quarter $2 million. So for example, if the $2 million is not collected and we go into the next quarter, that's close to $4 million that's outstanding. Versus if we were to do monthly billing, it wouldn't be that much, and I haven't calculated what it would be on a monthly basis. Okay. Total this now, is that for both quarters?
That is what is out there that's been billed already.
Okay. So 2 months didn't go out, 2 quarters didn't go out, right?
So then we add 1.4 to that, so that would be just over 3 million.
Okay, right now, what's existing is due to the village for collections is $3 million. And for whatever reason, we haven't collected it, but we have to figure out a way to collect the billing faster and get more accurate readings, so to reduce the complaints. And actually, it would help our cash flow to pay bills and help with the system of paying a bond or other things that's necessary. So if we spent $70,000, for example, say if we spent $70,000 on 7 additional water meter readers for a 6-month temporary basis to collect close to $3 million, I think it's worth it. And then we go on that monthly billing. As fast as we can, we institute monthly billing. So the revenue will be generated at a faster rate. Because actually, when you get $3 million that's outstanding for collections, what you're doing is actually financing, the village is actually financing all those bills that are due. And then some of those bills, even though it's outstanding, some of those bills still may be uncollectible for one reason or another. But it's important that we get on top of this and solve our building problem. Now, don't think Dalton is exempt, because I talked to other mayors, and one of the biggest headaches that they have is collection of water and water department problems. So, but we need to address this, and I think we need to address it as fast as possible, especially with winter coming. Okay, anything else?
Yes, sir. Mayor, as I mentioned at the board meeting, I want to make sure that we weren't in violation. Oh, I'm sorry. As I mentioned in the board meeting, I want to make sure we were not in violation of AFSCME, which is the union of the meter readers. And this $10 is unrealistic, because a meter reader one comes in at $12. And we're talking about seasonal, 6 months. We agree with that. The dollar amount is not accurate, because it would be $12, so you'd have to recompute that. And you also have here insurance. Were you talking about them having insurance also?
No, I said part-time.
Okay.
I said part-time, and I would not suggest meter readers coming in at $12 an hour, because some of our meter readers right now that's been here for a while is making $12 an hour.
Okay, as I stated, I talked to the union leadership, and we have what's called a memo of agreement or understanding where they will allow us to do this. Well, they'll get paid the union rate of $12 an hour, and we're talking about bringing on 2, not 7. But before we go into detail, I asked that all the meter readers would be here, and if you 3 could please come up to the podium. We just got a couple of questions to ask you. Because in doing this, we cannot shoot from the hip. We can't rush into this, because, as I stated, we don't want to violate any union agreements, because right now we're in negotiations of a new contract with AFSCME. But the reason why I asked for the meter readers to be here, because we need to hear from the persons who are going out on a regular basis. Some information was given to us, and then you all can attest to it, that I think you read approximately, 30 meters a day? Is that correct, or is that incorrect? Okay, could someone represent, I would prefer the senior, Daryl, to tell us exactly what is the process? How many homes do you actually go to on a daily basis, the actual meters that you read, and the number of yellow cards on an average on a daily basis?
Well, it's hard to tell, because by us having to go in the houses, it's a waiting period. We ring the doorbell. Sometimes we had to ring the doorbell twice. Sometimes we had to knock on the door, because the doorbell might not work. But we read more than 30 meters a day.
What would you say the average is? I guess it depends on the zone, how big the zone is.
It depends on the zoning, the time of getting in people's houses.
And does it also depend on the appointments that you have before you start?
Yes.
Okay.
But them would still be considered going in houses, I would say.
I'm trying to find out a number. Is it possible?
There's no accurate number, but I would say to do 14 times 14. It's at least 100 at least.
Okay, let me make sure I
That's
understand. How you visit 100 homes per day, average?
At least. No,
Out-
at least.
Okay, at least 100.
Yes.
Out of the 100 that you reach on an average, how many meters are actually read out of that 100, and how many are yellow slips or cards left? It doesn't have to be exact, just give us approximation.
I would say it would be maybe like about 40.
Okay, so 40 meters are being read daily,
Yes, and then cards are being left
and the
out,
rest
so-
are cards. Would the
Yes.
other 2 concur with that? Does that sound about right?
Is that
Okay.
40 each?
Yeah, that's 40 per person, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So we're talking about approximately 120 meters read a day,
Yes.
5 days a week. And I understand you're doing Saturdays now, correct?
Right now, we just doing the outsides on Saturday,
Okay.
but
Another question I want to ask, and the reason why I ask you, I would guess to the majority of the homes that you ring bells or knock on are not home. Because
yes.
if you're saying 100 a day and you're doing 40, that means 60% of the people are not home.
us not home or they refuse to let us in.
Yeah. Okay. You had a question?
You answered it.
Okay. So the reason why I brought you all here, because oftentimes people make decisions on a department without any input from the department. So for the last few weeks, we've been working with Mr. Marciniak to get numbers of what's in collections, what meters are on or off. There's a sheet that you give Mr. Marciniak to Public Works. You wouldn't happen to have a copy of that sheet or what it's called when you need either turn-ons or turn-offs, and that sheet is given to Public Works. You know the sheet I'm referring to that you showed me? Is there a name to that sheet?
It's just the shut-off.
Okay. Yes. Mr. States, are you familiar with that sheet?
Oh, yes, sir, I am.
Okay. So a couple of months ago, there wasn't that much activity on the sheets, but I think it's in the last, month or so, it's been quite a bit of activity as far as turn-ons and turn-offs. Is that correct? How many on each sheet? I don't know if you all are familiar with this. This is a sheet that's given to Public Works
Work order.
for
Yes.
turn-ons and turn-offs. On that sheet, how many do you generally have on that sheet, Mr. Marciniak?
It varies. It could be as it varies. It could be as low as 25 or as many as 50.
Okay, so 25 to 50. And Mr. Stacy, maybe you could answer. That sheet that you received from Mr. Marciniak that has 25 to 50 turn-ons and turn-offs, is that the proper terminology? Some are turn-offs and some are turn-ons? Out of the 25 to 50 that you get, weekly, daily? How often do you get it?
Every couple days.
Okay, every couple days. What is the percentage of those that are turned on and turned off out of that 25 to 50?
Probably 3/4 of them.
Okay, about 75%. Okay.
Depending on how they move, and if we get on and shut them off, they're turned off right away.
Okay. Now, the ones that you aren't able to turn off,
Yeah.
what's the reason for that?
There's the ones that we can't turn off, those are the ones that we use.
The ones that we can't turn off are the dig jobs. Those are the ones that have broken rods or the B-boxes are bent, buried. You know, it takes time to find them.
And what happens to those?
Those, we go back and we have to dig them up.
Okay. So the ones that you go back and dig up, do we have a record of how many those are?
Yeah, we have some at the, we keep record at the office of how many we do.
Okay, the
Those
reason
are
why...
on the monthly reports.
Yes, sir, I appreciate that. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because the public needs to see and this board needs to see there's a holistic approach that we have to make. It's not a matter of just hiring meter readers, but there's an infrastructure issue that we have. This department has not been ran right for years. And now we're trying to get a hold of it, which is why we have some bumps in the road. We have approximately 8,000 meters that have to be read in this village. Did you all know it was 8,000? And out of that 8,000, based upon what our meter readers are saying, that's a daunting task. Because originally you had, 4 meter readers? And the 4th meter reader, when did you lose the 4th meter reader?
Last year. Last year.
About a year ago?
Yes.
Okay. And when you lost the 4th meter reader, is that when you got kind of what we call behind?
At the beginning, yes.
Okay. So if you had at least 4, do you think you would be at the rate you should be as far as, I don't want to say catch up, but, reading the meters on a regular basis like you're saying now?
I would say so.
Okay. Did you have something, Robert? Did you have something? Did you have something? Okay. Okay. So, Mayor, we put some numbers together, and that's why I asked if you had talked to the union, because in talking to the union, they said that the contract states that meter reader ones, I believe, is $12 an hour. Is that correct?
$10 an hour.
According to the contract that I have.
Section 12-1. $10 an hour first year, $12 an hour after the second year.
For 5/1/16,
12-1.
This is what was sent to me by the negotiator.
I know you have part-time employees as in the contract that was signed off on. You can hire part-time employees for the Public Works Department at the pay rate of $10 an hour.
Right, it's $12 an hour.
$10 an hour, sir. 12.1.
Okay, I don't want to go back and forth with you, sir.
I understand, but it's
Okay,
in
let
the
me finish
contract.
speaking. If you don't want to go back and forth with me, let me speak and then you can speak
Go ahead.
respectfully.
After you, sir.
Now, I talked to the union Rep, a
Okay.
few minutes ago before coming to this meeting, and I want to make sure I represented it correctly. And according to what he sent me, water meter 1, dated 5/1/16, is $12 an hour. He said they could not pay them the rate for part-time. Even though technically it's part-time, we're talking about a 6-month contract. You cannot go 6 months in 1 day. As you know, if it goes 6 months in 1 day, they become permanent, they become IMRF and so on. So to avoid that legality, that's why we're trying to work with your union, Mr. Stacy. And of course, there's meter reader 2. Now, I don't know if the current meter readers are compliant with this salary, but according to what was sent to me on your contract, if you notice, it's dated 5/1/16, 5/1/17, 5/1/18, 19, and 20. And as you know, those are will be in the negotiations. But for the sake of this agreement, we are agreeing to pay them the union scale of meter reader 1 for $12 an hour, even though it would be 30 hours a week, Tuesday through Saturday. This is agreement that we have a tentative agreement with your union, and that's your negotiator. Now, if there's a disagreement with that, I would suggest you take it up with the negotiator of your union.
No, I'm saying in the union contract, you can hire part-time employees. This is what the village signed off on their contract. Section 12.1, you can hire part-time employees at the pay rate of $10 an hour for the first year. Second year, once they complete first, second year goes to $12 an hour. It's in their contract.
Right. I follow what you're saying. I said earlier we're doing what's called a MOA or
understand that.
MOU.
I understand
A
that.
memo of agreement or a memo of understanding based only on this 6-month project. So you and I going back and forth and going into the minutia of this contract is holding up the time because we have 2 committee meetings. I'm just trying to give some realistic numbers to the public, so when we say $10 an hour or $12 an hour, what it stems from. So based on our agreement with the union, we are willing to pay the $12 an hour as opposed to the $10 an hour.
I understand, sir.
Per the temporary agreement.
I understand. I was just trying to save money for the village.
Go ahead, finish it.
How many are you willing to hire?
2.
$10 an hour.
2.
And I'll go over the
And
numbers.
you think the 2,
I'll go over the numbers, sir.
go ahead.
Okay, some of the expenses that weren't mentioned before, there are some other expenses involved. Mayor, and I'm sure you agree with this, and Mr. Marciniak, there is a meter reader that you carry, right? I think there's 2 pieces of equipment, is that correct?
Yes.
And it's approximately $1,300 per reader, is that correct?
I have
No,
idea.
the reader, that's what the cost is. I know you wouldn't know the cost, but I'm saying this is a cost that we will incur. Am I correct in that cost? Okay. So the 1 meter reader that we have in stock would be by the previous water meter reader that's managing at another location, correct? Without mentioning his name. So we would have to purchase 1 more at $1,300. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so we're talking about bringing on 2 persons, but now,
Gas.
yeah, and also allowing a gas allowance per week. I believe it was, how much dollar-wise, 60? I think it was about $60 a week for gas allowance for these individuals. But let me run down the numbers for you.
In their own personal vehicle.
And they would be using their own personal vehicle as long as they have their insurance. And more importantly, there must be a background check, which includes criminal background and also a drug test. We can't have persons going in people's houses that we're just saying because they work for NICOR or some other organization. They have to go through that criteria. So we're talking about $12 an hour at 30 hours a week, which is $360 a week per person. So our weekly costs, including Medicare and FICA, is $387.54. The cost of 1 temporary meter reader for 6 months, that's 24 weeks, is $9,288. For the 2 temporary readers totally for 24 weeks will be $18,576. Now, these are the actual facts on the water bills that's outstanding. It is not $4 million. These numbers are not made up by me. These are the real numbers that we get from the payment center. The total outstanding water bills of active residential customers is 1.6. To be exact, for the record, it's $1,676,391. Now, of that $1.67 million, $858,000 is 120 days or more past due. And of that $1.67 million, $413,000 are balances prior to October 2015. This is when the village converted to a software system called Locust. We won't get into the detail of that, but by bringing on this software system and putting some new things into the department, we got a more accurate reading of what monies are due. Now, the number of inactive residential accounts, that's houses that are vacant, abandoned, or not receiving quarterly bills, is 380 households. The total outstanding water bills of these inactive residential accounts is $716,578. Of the $716,000 balance, $699,000 is more than 120 days past due. Of the $716,000 balance, $525,000 are balances prior to October 5th, 2015, which of course is when the village initiated the Locust billing system. Now, although the village has more than 380 vacant abandoned residential buildings, the mortgage company pays many of the quarterly bills. The reason why I'm giving you this information, we have to have, again, a holistic view of what's happening in the water department. It's not on the water meter readers, it's not on the payment center, it's a combination of all. For example, I know you've heard the complaint that I've lived here for 30 years and nobody's ever rang my bell and I received a yellow card. Even if that was the case, what should a person do once they receive that yellow card? Whether they heard you ring the doorbell or not, what is the most important thing that you would want the persons watching this on our channel to do once they got that yellow card, and why?
Well, once you get the yellow card, you need to call in your reading, send in your reading. It's best to call and make an appointment for us to come out so it can get into the system right away.
That means that if you don't fill that card out, you'll get an estimated reading.
Yes.
So then that means if I get an estimated reading, I continue to get an estimated reading, and I finally get a real reading, will there be some kind of what you call bill shock or sticker shock once I go to pay my bill, Mr. Marciniak? I don't know if you all could answer that.
Yes.
I'll ask them.
Yes, it will.
And why is that?
Because the bills, estimated bills are being estimated at a minimum water bill. So a lot of people is being underestimated.
Okay.
So once they get a true read, you get a shock.
Okay. And again, residents, we're working on this problem, but I can't stress enough. You must get an accurate reading. Now, there are those who have lived in this village who haven't had accurate readings in years. Is that correct? Is that an exaggeration?
Well, for us getting in, because a lot of people send in cards, but you have some people that just refuse to let you in.
Well, we had an incident, and I want you to tell them about the incident recently without mentioning the person's name. It's a former trustee, we'll just say that. Can you recall that incident and let the residents know what happened in that instance without mentioning his name, please?
So there was a telephone call last week, and a resident had called and questioned an estimated water bill. I'm sorry, it wasn't estimated. He received an actual water bill, and his prior bills were estimated at the minimum charge of $56.10, and then when we were able to get into his house and get an actual water meter reading, his bill was $1,100. And so when he was receiving estimated bills, he was actually being underestimated for that time frame.
Yes. So, and again, I would stress this as a public service announcement that for those who are viewing this, get an actual reading. And even if your bill is $1,000, $2,000, or $3,000, whatever that amount may be, what choices does a resident have? Because most of us don't have that kind of money to pay a water bill. What are our options?
The payment center will always enter into payment agreements with residents. It's usually coming in, sitting down, discussing what you can put down as a down payment, and then make at least monthly consecutive payments after that to help bring the balance down, with the understanding that if you do not keep your payment agreement, then of course the services will be terminated. But we do enter into many payment agreements on a daily basis with residents who, for one reason or another, cannot pay their bill in full.
Okay, one of the complaints we also heard, Mr. Marciniak, is I don't have 50% of $3,000. So is that in stone that, will you be able to work that out with me? This is theoretical. Will you personally be able to work that out with me where I wouldn't have to pay half down, and can you work something out? How does that work?
Yes, we do start at 50%, but of course, if there's extenuating circumstances, if a resident has other bills, that they are trying to pay as well, we will work with the residents and, depending, what they can pay, we will work and come up with something favorable for both the resident and the village.
Okay. So did you all want to add something on the reading before we go into the next portion that we may be missing that you'd like to add?
I'd like to add something. You mentioned outstanding water bill, outstanding collections is $1.6 million. Brian, you agreed to the $1.6 million, but you also told me there's an existing balance of $1.4 million that's out there.
That is correct.
So how does he come up with $1.6 million and not the additional $1.4 million that's outstanding?
The $1.6 million is the total amount of bills that have been sent out already
Okay.
and are waiting to be paid.
Okay.
The $1.4 million is the estimation based upon that we are 2 cycles behind.
Okay, so realistically, we're $3 million behind.
That is correct.
All right, I want to make sure this meeting is not about gotcha, political points, rah-rah, sis, boom, bah. This is a fact-finding meeting. As a trustee, I'm going to do what's right, what's not political. We're behind in our water meter readings. We have to go about this minus the politics, minus the emotion. Whether it's $3 million, $4 million, or $5 million, there's a mathematical and methodical way that we have to go about it. We cannot continue to run these departments by shooting from the hip, saying something like, I gotcha. What we need to do is bring our heads together, and I appreciate you, Mayor, coming and getting involved in this process of helping us to get this money together. We really appreciate your cooperation in this. But what we're trying to show that we can do the same effect with less people. Now, what I want to get to next, which is more importantly, which everybody would love, starting right now, is doing monthly billings. I'm going to tell you why that can't be done right now. Yes, I don't want to monopolize this, but don't let me forget my point.
I want everybody to pay attention to the cost of monthly billing, and I've been for monthly billing from day one because it's easier for the residents and myself as a resident to come up with billing and paying my bills once a month as opposed to once every 3 months. Presently, my bill is $333 for the cycle, and this cycle is 2 months late. I was intending to bring my bill to show you that I'm 2 months late and I have to catch up to pay my water bill. But I also want to sort of jump around for a second because in March of 2017, I went to a conference in Washington, D.C., and spoke with the people at the IEPA, where we also have an agreement to fix the water bill, because this didn't happen overnight. This happened years and years ago before this administration even got elected. So it's going to take more than an overnight fix. So that's why I'm asking everybody to be a little patient. We also reached out to Calumet Plumbing. I wanted to touch bases on that to see if they assist Public Works in shutting off the water, and we could pay them through the money that we retrieve for the cutoffs. Now, I don't know exactly where that went because I understand that Public Works have picked up the pace, and so we're revisiting that idea because that would help them out, help us out to get this revenue that we so desperately need. And like I stated, this is not an overnight fix. we have to be patient. It didn't happen overnight. This happened years and years ago, before any of the present administration came into effect. And the IPA, we want to take a loan out, and $500,000 of that loan will be forgiven to put in new water meters that you can go outside and in your car and get all the readings within 30 minutes. Right now, that you can come to my house, am I correct? And shoot your little gun and you can get a reading from, and get a reading that way. I was fortunate enough, before this administration got in, to have such a apparatus that they can get a quick reading, because a lot of residents won't open the door. They won't let them in to read the meters. Or they'll put the cards in their boxes or on top of their box, and they won't fill them out and they won't return them. So all of us play a part in this process. So therefore, I'm asking everybody to be a little patient and don't jump the gun. Be a little patient, because we've been working on this for some time. We didn't just start working on it. We've been working on it because we knew there was a problem. I need to bring my bill to Brian right now because it's incorrect. I'll see you before my deadline. But with a little patience and collectively working together, along with the mayor, we can achieve this goal. Because this is about all of us and not some of us. Thank you.
Trustee Stubbs.
Yeah.
And Trustee Muhammad. One of the things that you have to come into play is that we're coming into the winter time. Do you read, I mean, it's one of the meter readers here, do you read the same amount of meters in the winter time when there's snow on the ground that you read during the summertime on a daily basis?
No.
That's one of the reasons I asked for additional water meter readers, not just 2 water meter readers. And also that we're behind. And as far as I got you, it's not about I got you. It's about the fact that I asked the man, this is the manager of the water department, it was outstanding $1.6 million that was just billed out, and there's still an existing $1.4 million. You still have to account for that. So that's not about politics. That's a reality that is outstanding, and it's collectible. And in trying to get on top of these estimated bills that, like you said, has been done for years, I wanted to try to do it in an expeditious way. And that's hiring for a temporary basis to get those meter readers those meters read. Also, and I forget, correct, Matt, what is the proper term for those outside scanners? Outside. The touch pads. We probably don't even have 50% of the residents here in the village that have touch pads.
No.
Okay, so we have to devise a way to get more touch pads into those residents where we can actually get accurate readings. And one of the ways that I had suggested, I had a meeting with Brian, the water meter readers, within the last couple of weeks. One of the ways I had suggested was that when they do those appointments, they put the touch pads in. That will cut down on the appointments. There's no need for people to take off work. There's no need for the meter readers to go back out and get on a second time basis, because in some cases they go back to that house on a second time basis to try to get that reading. That's all time consuming, and it's all cost the village in salaries. So one of the ways to try to expedite this and get on top of all those commonly estimated bills is to get the touch pads installed.
Okay, Mayor, we're all on the same page. I mean, there's no disagreement in anything that you said. My concern, again, is the cost. It's famously said, find the money. And the proposal that we got, that the payment center put together, as you stated, it was really for 1 year, but if you cut it down, it was about, what, $72,000. What we're trying to do is cut some costs and still get it done efficiently. I want to stay now on the second part. The meter reading, we know that has to be done. That's a manual process. It's a door-to-door process. And whether it's 40 during the summer and it goes down in the winter, we've took into account all of that. If it's it's raining, inclement weather, we understand all of that. The second part of it, we are not able to go monthly right now. We don't have the infrastructure in place. If we were to start mailing out monthly, the printing cost alone, I shouldn't say alone, the printing cost along with the postage is $70,000 a month. That's $39,324 for the annual printing for pre-sorts. And for the additional postage, it would be $31,080. That's approximately $70,000 a year. That's if we were to do monthly. We can't afford to go monthly right now. I believe, as we stated in the meeting, I think one of the persons that worked for the water department said, you got to have good conversation. Part of the good conversation is that we're not able to go monthly right now. It would be convenient for the resident to go monthly, but as far as us getting it together, having accurate readings, as I stated before, we have a loan through what we call the IEPA. And it's just about getting into closing, and we talked to the people down in Springfield that's over that loan. When those readers are in, it's done, by the way, by radio waves. That means, as Trustee Stubbs just stated, a meter reader could drive up to a location with the software, hit a button, and they could read so many houses. Within 30 minutes, they could read the entire village. I believe it's less than 30 minutes. And there are other municipalities using it. And I said, before I make that statement publicly, tell me the municipalities that are doing it, and is it successful? And it is. Now, if I was a meter reader, and I heard what I just stated, we got 3 meter readers here. What's going to happen to the other 2? Because one of them will be in that car doing the readings. What's going to happen to the other 2? No, they're not out of a job. That's the beauty of a union. They'll just go over to Public Works, because that's why I prefaced it at the very beginning, that they're part of the Public Works Union, which is AFSCME. So the blessing in that technology, you need less people because the technology is more efficient. Currently, we're barely handling every 3 months. Until we get this situation tightened up, where we can read 8,000 meters proficiently, where you're getting an exact bill, we propose not to do the monthly until all of the equipment is installed, the software is in place, because I'm sure it'll be in the beta stage. There's some bugs to be worked out, but we're talking about at least a year from now before we can even think about going monthly. So I just wanted to put a reality on the monthly, because also if you go monthly, you have to hire more people in the office. Is that right, Mr. Marciniak? I think you would have to have at least 2 persons in the office because of the influx of monthly billing. Is that correct?
That is correct. Currently, we per month we see about 2,000 customers paying their water bills, whether it's through U.S. mail or walk-in customers, and of course, then that would more than triple per month.
Trustee,
Not finished, Mayor. Hold on, Mayor. This is our committee. Hold on, please. All due respect.
well, you said,
Hold on, Mayor. With all due respect. Hold on, please. What I want to make, 2 points I want to make based upon what you're saying. Number one, the public service announcement was to bring those yellow cards in and read them and get an accurate read. That's number one. That's something that you as a resident can do beyond the meter readers, beyond Mr. Marciniak. Number two, the help in this postage, because we're talking about in the future, $70,000 in postage. One of the things that you can do, and I did go on the site, you can go on vldalton.org, and I believe you can do an e-bill. Is that correct? Where you actually you get a record of yourself if you want to come back and pay again. How does that work? That would help in postage. So explain to the public how that works.
So as of right now, residents can go online to pay their water bill using their debit or credit card, Visa, MasterCard, or Discover, and there is no charge to the customer for the credit card transaction. I've been looking at various ways to expedite delivery of water bills, and one way that the resident would be able to they would be able to log on to the village's website, and they would be able to opt in for paperless billing. So some residents receive their utility bills already, or perhaps their credit card bills through an email, and then this would be the same thing that the village would offer for water bills.
Okay. And I believe that once you log on, you create your own login. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it recognizes you when you come back in, so that I don't have to keep logging in. Is that
That
I
is correct,
understood?
yes.
Okay. And I want to also add to that IEPA loan that there's a $500,000 forgiveness on the loan. I believe the loan was for $1.6 million, I believe. But they're willing to forgive $500,000 off of the principal of this particular loan that we're talking about. Do I have the numbers correct? You familiar with that?
Yes, I've heard part of that conversation. It is a $500,000 loan forgiveness
For the amount.
For on the principal.
on the principal. And I believe the village was looking at a $2 million loan, so it
Yes,
would be
$2 million.
It would be 1.5 million.
Yes. And since our beginning, they've dropped the interest rate considerably. And so that, what now? Oh, it's less than 1%, right? Yeah, it's less than 1%, which is a good thing. Hold on, Mayor, I think I have one more, then I think it was one more. So, yeah, in closing on the monthly, like I said, we don't suggest that we go monthly right now because we don't have the infrastructure in place. And right now to do monthly with 7 more, 10 more, it would be financially impossible because, first of all, we need to know where the $70,000 for postage is coming from, the $70-something thousand for 7 folks. But the amount that we came up with, that we can get these amounts out of the water and sewer fund, which is at approximately $18,576 for the 24 weeks or 6 months. Mayor?
I'm not sure where you got the amount for the monthly billing. Brian, you know where that amount came out for postage and billing, monthly billing?
Yes, I calculated those based upon the last 12 months of invoices that we've received from our current vendor that prints and pre-sorts the bills, and then it's our postage rate is 37 cents once all the barcoding and the pre-sorting is done.
So you're saying $70,000 a month?
No, it's per year.
Okay, so divide that by 12, what would it cost us? I don't have my calculator here.
Just over $5,800 per month.
Okay, $5,800 a month. Now, it's all well and good to say, a year from now, we're going to get the loan and we're going to install the meters and stuff like that. We're in an urgency mode right now. You have to take a look at what it costs us not to collect that $1.6 million and that $1.4 million. Now, if we were able to collect that $1.4 million, $1.6 million, maybe we can pay some other bills readily where we can reduce our interest rates on those other outstanding debts that we have. But there's a cost to us not collecting our money. And that cost is extravagant right now. It's nice to say, yeah, the readers are going to go to Public Works once we get this all in, but we're looking way down the road. We have an immediate problem right now. Immediate problem is getting accurate readings and getting revenue into the village. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think 2 more people are going to do it. When does the next billing cycle due, Brian?
District 3 should be at the post office this coming Friday.
So the residents, District 3, when was their last billing?
Their last billing was approximately 4 months ago.
4 months ago. So we're into a billing and a half that's already outstanding.
Correct.
Are you going to catch up on the next quarter? Are you going to catch up on the other half of billing with the current and be current then too? So you're looking at, instead of looking at 6 months of billing, you're looking at, what, 4.5 months or something like that?
Are you asking the next time that we read District 3? Or are you asking?
Or right now, or the next time you read it?
Currently, we're 2 months behind in sending the bills out.
Okay.
So the District 3 that is going out this month should have gone out in August.
So what do you estimate the 2 billing cycles that have not went out? What do you estimate the collection amount to be?
About $1.4 million.
1.4 million.
Roughly 700, close to $700,000 for each billing cycle.
For each billing cycle. So in fact, we are $3 million behind in collections.
Correct.
He said something that wasn't accurate. I got to straighten out.
So there's a cost for $3 million to being out there, you know, and I think it's an urgent matter to try to to hire some people to get it done.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You said something that was inaccurate, Mayor. You said a year from now is the loan. We're talking about, again, one of the problems that we do in this village, we don't do projections, although we got Mr. Marciniak doing a 5-year projection for us, which is missing as far as management is concerned in any of these departments. But the loan is coming up in a matter of days. And we know the urgency of this. But just so you're aware that we do have $250,000 still in that $1.3 million bond, but it can only be used for material items and not personnel or non-material billing. So we do know that we can get some equipment out of that, but we can't rush into this just saying that we're going to hire 7 more people without looking at the metrics. We've looked at these numbers. We've based it on what the meter readers are telling us realistically. And if I understand, you're saying you're able to read about 40 meters a day. If the weather gets inclement, it can get down to 30, maybe 20. Is that correct? Okay, so that's a conservative. I like to do it conservative, but 40 is a good number. If we can do 40 with 3, which is 120, we can do 40 with 5, which brings us to 250 a day. And I think with persons, and I believe some of you are working Saturdays, is that correct? Because I've been told, I think one resident told us that they saw someone on a Saturday. And so these 2 that we are bringing on will be working on Saturdays, and they're going to work a later shift. The logistics of what we'll work out is who they turn in their equipment to, because I understand if it's on a Saturday, it would be you, Daryl. Okay, which we'll work that out with you also. So again, Mayor, we're ready to expedite this. We're ready to get it put in place. We're ready to recruit some persons, but they must go through a background check, and it must be a drug test and a criminal background test. We're not just hiring bodies. There is a proposal that I have of a meter reader that was recently with you. We're going to try to work it out to see if he can come back for that temporary position. I don't want to say his name, but you all know who I'm referring to, the 4th meter reader. So that would be helpful. That way there's no training involved. That may be something we may have to work out with the union, because there might be a salary dispute there, but we'll see what we can do. But the union has been very cooperative with us, and I think that communication has to be with the payment center, with the Public Works Department, with the mayor's office, with the trustees and the meter readers. There has to be communication, because there's a lot of misinformation going on. You know, and that's why I wanted you 3 to be here. The number 1 complaint that I've heard, and I'm saying it publicly, and I'm not saying it's true or not, because rumors abound many in this village. This is like Mayberry. I've heard that from somebody. But I've been here 30 years. They've never rang my bell, but I've seen that yellow card. I mean, okay, don't look at me strange. Now, I'm just telling you. I prefaced it by saying it was a rumor, and that's what's been told to us. Have you trustees heard that? Okay, well, I'm getting nods. I guess that means yes. But we've heard that. And if that, let's say it's true or it's not true. If it's true and you got the yellow card, then just do the reading. I think you mentioned that you can call it in. I never knew that you can call it in. I always brought my little card back and handed it to the person. But now that I know that, I'll call in. I'd rather do the actual reading, because I know my bill would be correct. Number 2, public service announcement was going on that website so that we can reduce the cost of mailings for the future. For seniors, that might be a little difficult as far as bringing those cards in, but now that seniors know they can call it in, we should encourage that. Do you agree? Do you agree, meter readers? You would here, go up to the mic. That way it's recorded, it's on record, and nobody can say it was rumor or innuendo. It's actual facts.
Or they can, it's 3 options. They can call it in, they can mail it in, but preferably they can make an appointment for us to read it, and they can go straight into the system right then and there.
So we're going with the trustee's proposal, unless you are.
Okay. Also, I would like to state this because I don't want to leave this out, that the chief of police also asked for more police officers. So, when taking into account 7 more meter readers, I'm also looking at what the other departments have asked the trustees and the mayor for also. And the fire department, they have also asked, we had a fire last night, they also have asked for more people. So we're taking not only the meter readers into account, we are taking other departments into account also. And we know that we need help in housing and we need help in permits. And we just asked the employees to take furlough days. So I think that to hire 7, that's unfair to those that have given up furlough days. So I am definitely willing to consider 2 and talk to the other trustees about the 2, Mayor. But it's just not fair. We just have to work a little harder. We have to work a little harder and budget our money right and look at our budget, because we can't get blood from a turnip. And these men and women have given up furlough days. So the village and the trustees, notwithstanding, did you turn my check in? Just wanted on the record that I gave Trustee Pierson my check to turn in because I'm giving up 5% of my salary also to the village. So I want us to keep that in mind also. So, Trustee Pierson, do you have anything you want to
The only thing I wanted to say is,
Mike.
there is a cost to trying to do 7 readers, 7 new meter readers. And you got to have the equipment. You can't go at it without going at it the correct way. And we just can't afford to buy the equipment for the meter readers and pay the additional salary. It's very easy to say, let's find the money. But we don't have the money. I mean, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to be Mr. Frightful up here, but every trustee will tell you we don't have the money, and we're trying to keep our head above water. And to throw that much cost in it, we're not getting any extra money from the water meters. We're getting money that is due and already earmarked for things that the general fund, the water fund, where we have to spend this money, and the sewer fund. So it's not like it's going to be extra money coming in to pay for 7 meter readers. And the whole system that we've been working on to try to do 2 meter readers, a lot of thought went into that. And we've been talking to Mr. Marciniak, and we think that with 5 meter readers, we can get caught up. Over time, we can get caught up. And another thing that we're going to have to look at is we need to take a look at increasing the minimum billing. The minimum billing is too low, and that's why everybody gets sticker shock. And if we increase that minimum billing, it's not like we're asking for extra money, because it'll just reduce the amount of the sticker shock, and that will lessen the amount that's outstanding on a regular basis.
Okay, I hope, and I talked to the meter readers, I talked to Brian, we had a meeting a couple weeks ago. I just hope the meter readers can do what they said it can do. Because I got a totally different impression when I met with them. So, you think y'all can catch up with the village with 2 people?
They do the best they can.
Well, it sounds like the problem is from the collections. It doesn't matter if we get 5 people or 10 people. We can get all of the readings in, but it doesn't mean the money's going to come in if you have the readings.
No, I'm just saying, I'm saying right now, with the three of y'all, have you been able to read the complete village?
We couldn't read the entire village.
Nobody's
Okay, how many
asking
people
them
do you-
to complete village. Mayor,
You-
that's what, the purpose of this meeting is to bring them some help.
On average, it takes us a month.
You hold on now, trustee.
On average,
Okay.
it takes us about a month to read one district, and for the most part, we can do that efficiently and correctly. But after the readings come in, sometimes they sit dormantly before they go out.
So you're saying three of you have been reading a district completely?
Okay.
Yep.
Then why have there been so many estimated bills?
Same question. We don't know, because there's homes we go to, and of course the touchpads that we read. We get those actual readings, and we see people, they complain and say they still got an estimated bill. They still get estimated after we read it.
Brian, Mr. Messiniak, can you answer that?
So I had reached out to Locust. They are a software provider for the billing system and for the handhelds that the meter readers do carry around with them, to find out if there's any issues of communication issue between the handheld and the billing software. There's no software issues that they are aware of, but I'm still looking into a couple things as far as the billing system is concerned.
I know one of the things that you told me, Brian, was that sometimes when you went over, you didn't have all the readings in, so you didn't send the bills out.
That is correct. So
that has to stop. What you have at the end of the billing cycle, just send it out, and we play catch up the next billing cycle. You know, because that allows those bills to go out and allows revenue to come back in. You know, rather than hold it for the next time. Well, if y'all can read the whole district, why do we need to hire anybody to play catch up?
I mean,
and that's what I thought. That's what I thought we had discussed a couple of weeks ago, that you were behind in readings. That's why I addressed the fact of trying to get more meter readers, so when we get caught up, and then we'll be straight.
Maybe one or two extra will help us out. We're already working extra hours to get caught up.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it still depends on the residents letting us in for the homes that don't have touchpads.
Pardon me?
And we are in District 3 of the biggest district.
The biggest district. Yeah. I didn't want you to take the fact that hiring more people would cut your overtime out, because I know you probably depend on some overtime.
No.
You know, but I thought it would be more efficient if we hired some more people, got on top of this thing, and then set the appointments off on the weekend, where you can every day.
That's not going to get the bills out faster.
No, it's not going to get the bills out faster. It's not going to get the bills out fast, but it'll get the readings done. Hopefully more accurately and quicker. So
I don't want to prolong this meeting, because we have another meeting after this, and I think everything have been touched upon, and I just want to take a consensus from the trustees that's sitting on the board up here with me on, so we can take it back to our regular board committee and take a vote on it, to hire 2 more water meter readers, or hire 7. And right now, we can't afford 7. You know, and these gentlemen stated that they could handle it. I got faith in them that they could handle it.
I mean, we have before.
Absolutely. And Brian, if you're working on something.
In the past management, we've been efficient. The bills have got out efficiently, but all of a sudden, things are behind.
So
readings are inaccurate.
So maybe you could take another look at your department, Barbara. Maybe you all can go out with the meter readers, the water meters readers. Have you been out with them?
No, I have not.
Okay, let me. I'm getting that rah-rah again. No, I got to address this. You know, this is not to discount anything that you do. You're doing a yeoman's job. We're trying to bring some help on board. Like we stated, that's what this meeting is.
Right.
To bring two persons on to do whatever districts we're talking about. I stated earlier there's been mismanagement in that department. We'll call it the payment center.
Right.
There have been boxes of NSF checks that was in boxes, dozens, that had not been processed. Has nothing to do with you reading a meter.
Absolutely.
But when we discovered that in that department, would we say there were dozens, Mr. Marciniak, when you arrived?
Yes, that is correct.
Checks that were NSF that was not forwarded to our collections agency or anything like that. So there's been some mismanagement in that department. Has nothing to do with you reading a meter. What we're trying to do, and for years, we're not putting on this administrator or the previous, the notes I got, it said decades?
Yes.
That's like 10 and 10, right? So more than 10 years has been an issue. What we're trying to do is come up with a solution to give you some help of that which we can afford.
So it sounds like the issue was in collections and not reading.
Well, we're taking a holistic approach to this to look at every department. We're looking at software. He mentions the locus system. We're going to look at your readers, because I understand your readers don't even have stamped time of day on them. Is that correct?
That I'm not sure.
Do you use the reader when you do your reading?
Reader.
Does the stamp do a time of day stamp? That might be something in the programming
that
of the
would come
software.
out in the uploading and downloading process.
Yes.
And we're not part of that, so I have no idea.
Could you answer that?
Okay, I'm not sure about Locust, but when we had Cameo, it was.
Okay.
But Locust, I haven't seen it in there, and I don't know why.
You want to answer that?
That also, Locust don't have notes. We had notes in Cameo, so it can be accountable if we was refused entry, or if it's a dog in the yard, gate locker. A lot of people have touchpads, but the gates are locked.
Right.
And way the system Locust, when Locust took over, the way the system look now, like we just skipping the house.
Do you want to respond to that? Because I got a question for that also. Can you respond to that software issue?
Yes, so, yes, what Daryl is saying is correct. In the old billing system, the meter readers were able to add notes as why they couldn't read a person's meter, whether, like Daryl said, a dog in the yard or gate was locked or something like that. The new system does not allow for that. I've also been talking to Locus about putting in a time and date stamp, so if there's any question in the future, if a resident says, well, when was the meter reader out to read my meter, we'll be able to look that up and give an exact day and time that the meter reader was out there.
Okay. What is Locus' answer to Daryl's concern? Because you mentioned that to management, of course, right?
Yes.
When you first had that. Locus said that that module is not available for that software. Would it cost extra money? Because it's nothing but a module added to the software so it can be transposed to the reader. What was their response?
Actually, I have not gotten a full response back from them because I have a list of things that I'm working with on Locust right now, and one of the other things I'm working on right now is implementing that most recent ordinance that the board passed with the 35% for the delinquent accounts for the collection agency. So they're working on a multitude of issues that or questions that I have for them.
Okay, hopefully by next board meeting, October 2nd, we can have some answers. But in closing, I just hope that...
May I say one more thing?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, Brian wasn't on board yet when they first installed Locust, and I asked about that. They say that we didn't pay for that.
Okay, so again, we're going to find out, because it sounds like it's a module you can add whenever you have a software.
Actually, yes. Actually, the notes are in the handhelds, but they're not connected with Locust.
Okay. So can you please find that out and mention that they said would have to be paid for whatever it is so we know. Lastly, I just hope this is a team effort, as I mentioned before, with the mayor's office, Public Works, the meter readers. There's more communication going on, because we're going to be monitoring this now for the next 6 months or so that whatever issues that you may have, please be vocal with them. Don't feel intimidated by some elected official pressing you. If you know what you're doing and you know what your position is, just stand up on that. It's not in violation of your rights. It's not about you getting fired or somebody saying something over you to intimidate you or management. You speak the truth. If you stand on the truth, you got no problem. My concern as a trustee, when I see monies being allocated, where we could have gotten 400,000 here, 140 here, or 500 here, and it hasn't been done because we're not getting cooperation from the whole. But I'm hoping from this meeting that there's a new spirit now of doing more meter readings, us getting 2 qualified persons to help you out and to get caught up. And then once we get caught up, we'll do it the right way by having the radio readers that will make it easier for everybody, and we'll get an accurate reading. Thank you very much.
So with all that being said, I'm asking for a consensus from the 2 trustees, the chair.
My sense is to go with the trustee proposal. Yes, of the $18,576 plus the $1,300.
One set of equipment.
So we all in agreement to go with the trustees, our proposal to go with the 2 trustees, 2 meter readers, 2 meter readers and the equipment. So if there is nothing else, I would like to call at this time citizens' address. Oh, wait. Calumet City Plumbing, outstanding water bill shut-off procedures.
Yeah, so Matt, are we okay with the shut-offs? I know we had put together a little proposal to reach out to Calumet City Plumbing to do some. Is that something that you can keep up with?
Yeah, we've been doing fine with them as long as they come over and they're accurate.
Okay.
There are times when we do receive some, we spend half a morning shutting them off, then we got to go back and turn them on.
Okay.
Because there's mistakes.
All right, I'm okay with that.
I had looked at the Calumet City Plumbing proposal. I met with Mike Giglio from Calumet City Plumbing. I explained our financial situation, and this proposal just does not, it's something that we really can't afford. To turn off water, $30, minimum of 10 locations a day. To turn on water, $30, minimum of 10 locations a day. To locate a service line, if it's buried or they can't locate it, it's $125 per box. If they have to excavate, like on some of the times they get cutoffs with Public Works and they have to do a dig job, to do a dig job is $1,680 with a minimum of 3 dig jobs a day. To break out and remove concrete or asphalt that's around a B-box, if some of those B-boxes are located in the sidewalk, it's $1,875 to do the excavation.
Mayor, I don't want to interrupt you, but that was not on the agenda.
Then don't. You brought it up.
That was not.
You brought it up. You brought up Calumet City Plumbing, and so I wanted to address it.
That's not. We wasn't talking about the contract, Mayor.
Earlier, you brought up the fact that you talked to Calumet City
Mayor,
Plumbing in regards to proposals.
Okay. Mayor, we were talking to Matt Stacy about Calumet Plumbing shut off, and because he was doing a pretty good job now, we wasn't talking about Calumet Plumbing contract. We wanted to know, and you probably misunderstood, we just wanted to know, could Matt Stacy continue to keep up the work of the shut off and shut on of the residents of the village of Dalton? That's all we wanted to know, Mayor.
Thank you. He was able
That's all we wanted to know.
Fine. He was able to keep up with it prior to you going to Calumet City Plumbing. It's just the fact that for some reason, those shut-offs wasn't given to Public Works like they had been given on a regular basis.
Okay.
Thank you.
If anybody would like to address the podium, we have citizens address now. Can you step up, Ms. Butler, please? Yes, ma'am.
Is that mic on? Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My question to you all is, my first question is, we're billing on a quarter cycle now. The mayor wants to go to a monthly. But if you can't keep up quarterly, how you gonna keep up on monthly? The department has never been equipped, nor employees have enough employees to go monthly. The building cycle is so messed up now on a quarterly. How can you move forward if you're still behind on quarterly? That's number one. Number two, you asked all employees to take a 5% cut. You all said there was a freezing, y'all putting a freeze on hiring and furlough days. Well, it's a slap in the face to employees if they take a 5% cut and you turn around and you all are there to hiring employees. That don't make sense. You want to ask? Oh, overtime. Will the meter readers that work on Saturday, will they be paid overtime on Saturday?
Okay, let me answer your second one. The monies for the proposal that the trustees have, that would cost us $18,576 plus the $1,300 for equipment, will come out of what's called the Water and Sewer Fund, which not affect the entire general ledger budget. The piece that you're talking about on Saturdays, the persons that we're proposing to work, the contractors would work Tuesday through Saturday. They only work 30 hours per week.
Okay.
As far as the current staff, I don't know what their hours are now. I just heard that they're working Saturdays. I don't know if they worked it out where they working Tuesday through Saturday. I'm not sure. I can't answer that part of it. But I don't know the overtime for the current. But for the proposal that we have, there is no overtime, and there are technically no new hires. They're coming out of the water fund and the sewer fund.
Well, as a resident, I hope that before we go to monthly, we will be able to, should be able to straighten the problem out quarterly.
I agree.
And the bill, all employees, residents should have a zero balance before we can move forward on a monthly billing. Because if my bill, as you say, you all been estimating, is just say $500. Well, you send me a bill this month for $500. Well, now you want to go into monthly, so now I got $500 plus a $30 bill. That's ridiculous because a lot of our seniors, we have a lot of seniors here, and they're on monthly income, and they can't afford stuff like that, so they're going to always be behind, and you all are going to always be saying, cut their water off. Right. And that's not fair to the residents.
I totally agree, and that's why we disagree right now going with monthly, because we have to get our infrastructure in place. It is far from being in place of going monthly. And we mentioned a year from now, I even said even with a year from now, it'll be in a beta stage that we got to work the bugs out. We cannot, it's a bug, I guess. God, Lord have mercy.
I don't blame the spiders are biting.
I hope you were heroic on that, Ed.
And Trustee Stubbs, I agree with you. You said that you all been working on this problem for this water problem for the new meters and stuff for a while. You have, even when I worked here, you all was working on that. And you asking us to be patient. Well, we've been patient for however long you all been working on it. So we're asking you all to be patient and to take your time before you all go into that 30 days to get that quarterly billing clear.
Oh, absolutely. I concur. I totally agree with you, Ms. Butler. And then to answer your question about the hiring of the new people, we asked that each department head, if they needed another employee, if it was urgent, then to send Ms. Redmond, don't send an email. Send us an email to that effect of the urgency of the new hire, and we'll take it to the board. We're just sitting up here as the committee discussing this, but the vote lies within the 6 trustees and what their take is on this meeting.
Okay. Well, I understand that. I just want to bring that out and get that out to you all.
I want to add this to it. This is why I'm pushing that these contracts get signed. We're asking the unions to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. But if we drag our foot on getting these contracts signed, now you got things in limbo. We're asking the unions to take concessions. Mm-hmm. If we didn't even ask the employees. Like you said, it was a furlough put in place, right. And some trustees chose to give back part of their salary. In order for us to work with the unions, we have to get the contract signed. So in getting the contract signed, that's one of the things that we're asking. That's what I'm asking. I said, if these employees can sacrifice, then you can too for the first year.
And that is correct. But again, it is a slap in the face to employees for you all to ask me for a 5% cut in my salary. If you can have money to hire, you don't need me. You don't need take 5% from me to hire new employees. And Daryl, this one is to you. I don't know. Back in '98, when water meters were we never had that many water meters readers, and we never had as much problems as we have it now. And for all water meter to be in one district, that doesn't make sense. If it's 3 of them, they can start and each one of them get a district to do, and then see how many houses in that district, divide them by the 30 days, and that should tell them how many houses that they can get read a day to be up to date, because you don't need everybody in one district.
Well, Ms. Butler, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say due to the element that have changed out here in our community.
The houses ain't changed, it's still the same in the house.
No,
And we understand the different stuff that people,
the element.
I understand the elements, yes.
And if you'll let me say this one thing. They need to look after each other when they go out there, because it's a little different out there today.
Okay, even if you put two together, that's still.
Yeah.
Even if you put 2 of them in a district, they still don't all need to be in the same district, because whatever gonna happen is gonna happen whether it's 2, 4, or 6. We still have to figure out a way that we can get these meters read in a timely manner so that the resident won't have to keep suffering and having the same problem with these water bills. Because every board meeting, every special meeting is always about these water bills. And it's been going on for a while.
Absolutely.
And so it's time to stop talking about it and put a plan in place and get it done.
That's what we did.
Because we're tired of getting our bills, and there's always a problem. So before we can move, the mayor wants to hurry up and rush to move to 30 days. We're not ready.
We're not ready for that, Ms.
No.
Butler. And we will definitely talk to Brian about how these gentlemen go out. And I thank you for your time and your efforts for coming out here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stubbs.
Good evening, good afternoon, I'm sorry. I have a concern. I want to first thank you guys with concerns to the water bills. And as the previous, Ms. Butler, it's been going on for a minute. And I can appreciate wanting to get everything decent and in order. But listening to the meter readers today, they said the issue is not with reading the meters, because they said they get them done. The issue is with turning the readings in, is that correct? I'm just trying to get a clarification, because I'm trying to understand the process. And they go to the water department, right? When you get it out of your hands, it goes next door. Okay, the billing manager. So it would seem that they need help over there. Or, excuse me I'm sorry, Mr. Marcinic, for the individuals that print out the bills and send them to us. Who? Oh, you print them out.
No, we have an outside vendor.
Well, that's what I thought you said. You had an outside vendor. So the issue is not with the meter readers, it's with getting the processes, getting the bills out. Because I just got my bill last week. Mine's haven't been late, but I'm trying to understand the process of I do have neighbors that said that they read they do their own cards, but they're still getting estimated on there. So if the meter reader is reading them, they should no longer be estimated, should they? I'm just trying to understand the process. If the meter is read, because to me, seniors are not letting young men in their home. I'm sorry. They're not, exactly, they are strangers. They're not letting them in their home. I'm just trying to understand the process, because if they're reading them, they should no longer be an estimated bill. If I'm reading my meter, it should not come printed as an estimated bill,
You're
should it?
absolutely correct.
Yes, you are correct. And to answer your first question, when the meter readers are done reading the district that they're in, we wait for about a week before the residents turn in their yellow meter reading cards, or they drop them off, they mail them or something. And then it takes about 4 days to print the bills.
Okay.
Then they run through a pre-sort process, and then they're dropped off at the Dalton Post Office.
Okay, so, and also I love the idea of announcing to the public that we can pay our bills online with that process as well, just like anything else, that water bill, because I'm just outdone that we don't have the process in order. You want to cut off my water because I'm not doing my part, but doesn't sound like everybody else is on part, doing their part either. So I think it just has to be a level playing field, taking your time to get the process in order for all of us. You know, like you said, Mayor, our village is predominantly senior citizens. Everybody's living on an income. Don't come in twice a month. They may come in once a month. So we have to be very careful and strategic and caring about how we do this process.
You're absolutely right, Ms. Creighton, and one of the things we need, that's what I'm asking, and we are asking for a comprehensive plan, but just a number everybody needs to know. Over 80% of the residents pay their bill. Over 80%. We're talking about that 20% or less that's having an issue with 120 days late or whatever, but over 80% of us pay our bills on time.
And I'm sorry, because that's what it makes it sound like we're saying, that the residents are not paying their bill.
Most people are.
So 80% of us are paying our bill. 80% of the residents are paying their bills, right? So I'm just trying to. We gotta have some order.
Okay, I'm a little confused. Okay, are we behind in the meter reading, or are we behind in the billing?
Yes.
That's what I need clarification. How far behind are you guys?
2 billing cycles.
2 billing cycles? Okay, are you 2 billing cycles behind?
Yes.
Okay, so you both behind 2 billing cycles. Okay. Another thing, what is the pad that you're talking about? The reading pad? It mounts on your house? Because the reason I ask, because my mother just had her, she's in South Holland, she just had, theirs is with a meter now. The man came in, 15 minutes, I didn't see a pad or anything. It's something, device that he put on there, attach it to the meter reader, and that was it. Took 15 minutes, you know. So I'm, like I said, I'm a little confused, and okay, you do need help, right, or not? Temporary help. So that's all in agreement. You need temporary help, and 2 people will be sufficient. As far as you're doing the work, that's what I'm asking you. So you're okay with 2 people, and you'll be caught up. Okay, now I have one question for the trustees. Okay, or maybe I should take this to Brian. Okay, is there a way that you can systematically, over a period of time, roll those 1-month bills out? Say, for instance, if a person is on time, caught up, start with the ones that are caught up. Is there some type of way where, okay, once I'm caught up with my bill, I paid my bill last month, could I go this month on a monthly basis?
All the businesses in Dalton, they now receive monthly water bills.
I'm not talking business, I'm talking residents now.
Right. So all the businesses in Dalton receive monthly water bills now, and there was a transition process where they went from a 3-month bill to a 2-month bill, and then now to a 1-month bill.
Okay, is that how you could, I mean, wouldn't that be the solution for the residents?
That would be logical, yes.
Okay, so, say I paid my bill last month, then when I paid, it's a 2-month bill next, and then I go into a 1-month
Correct.
bill.
And like I said, that is what we did for the businesses in
Okay,
Dalton
now
as well.
before you do that, you're going to give the residents ample amount of time to say, okay, this is what's going to happen within X amount of time.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
If there are no more residents for citizens' address, I would like to adjourn this meeting.
A second.
Trustee Pierson,
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs,
Aye.
Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.